Now we have Brian up with HTML5 in, what, like 5 minutes?
Yeah, I figured 5 minutes presentation.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Brian Arnold, and I'm here to talk a little bit about HTML5. I've been making websites for a little over a decade, but you might not have, so I thought we would lay a little bit of groundwork here and say what HTML is. So up here I've got a screenshot of a website. We're all pretty familiar with the web and what it is, but this information is built out of HTML. HTML is hypertext markup language, and it's a way of creating a structured document on the web. It looks something like this. This is actually the back end behind the screen that you just saw. It's been around for about 20 years. It changes from time to time, and we're coming up on a huge change. There are a couple other things I do want to talk about real quick, though, important pieces. There's also cascading style sheets, which is a presentational language describing colors and fonts, stuff like that on the website. And there's JavaScript, which is a language for programmers to add a little bit of interactivity. These three pieces of information kind of form a holy or unholy trinity of web development. And these three elements really constitute how the web works today. So given that, let's talk a little bit about what HTML5 is, but what it's also not. It's not finished, for one. It's still in draft state. It's still changing. So, why am I talking about it? Well, it's mostly done. It's in a last call. They're working on it. In fact, they've been working on it for a while. It's not new. HTML5, some of the first pieces came into play. They started talking about it in 2004 even. It was called Web Applications 1.0, a bunch of mess. The first draft of HTML5 hit in January 2008. So it's been around for a couple of years. It's not CSS3. CSS3, like I mentioned earlier, CSS3 is adding a way to do gradients with color and drop shadows and all this stuff without imagery. That's not HTML5. The big one, HTML5 is not a Flash killer. Flash tends to be vilified a little bit in the internet community, and not without reason. But the thing is that there's some cool stuff coming in HTML5, but it's not going to kill off bad technology. I mean, IE is still around. So what it's about, it's not HTML5 versus Flash. It's about rich, accessible media and accessible, rich internet applications. There's a lot of stuff that HTML5 is bringing about that will help us get away from some of the things that we did for Flash. Flash is not going away completely. HTML5 is, it's an evolution on HTML. The things that you know in HTML4, they're not going away. Unless you use font tags, then you can get out. But other than that, it's kind of building on stuff that's there, and what you knew, still going to hold. It's also about semantics, and I'm going to go into this in a little more detail later, but the idea is that you'll be able to create websites with information in them that's very easily read by humans and machines, and it makes it just a little bit more meaningful under the hood, and that's just great. And it's usable today. A lot of it, I say mostly, because a lot of it's showing up in modern browsers, but there are even tools to get a lot of it to work inside of Internet Explorer, which is just the bane of my life. So we're going to kind of dive into a few features here. I mentioned semantics earlier. One of the big things is they're adding a lot of different tags to HTML. HTML is built up on wrapping your content in tags. And there's already some meaningful stuff like paragraph tags and list tags, but they're replacing some things, or not replacing. So this is kind of an example blog layout. On the left is the current way it's done. You have these generic div containers that give IDs that kind of give it some level of meaning. On the right, though, you can see it's header, it's footer, it's navigation, there's a section of content. If we drill down into the article, articles can have headers and footers and sub-articles and navigation and markup for time. All of these things mean something to us as people, but also to computers consuming this content, and that's awesome. They're adding tags for audio and video, native in the browser without needing stuff. They're great. This is why people think it's going to kill Flash. There's still some issues to be worked out, but hey, it's cool. Personal favorite of mine is the Canvas tag. Canvas is a way for web developers to use JavaScript to create dynamic imagery and whatnot. I'm talking about this next month at Webukerque. Sign up will be up in a couple weeks. It's really cool. So yeah, Canvas is just awesome, and I'll say more then. There's a lot more input types. This is going to be great for people validating content, and some of it's in place today. Some websites, if they use email or URL and you visit it on your iPhone, it actually gives you customized keyboards to let you enter that information more easily. There's just a bunch of other features I don't really have time to drill into, but it's really going to allow web developers to create some really awesome, great interactive applications, and it's just an exciting time to be a developer. Thanks.